Next topic, next practice problems. Plot the points denoted by 2, 2, negative 3, 1, 2, negative 2, and negative 3, negative 2 on an XY plane. Pause the video and try that now. Answer. There's a diagram of what's called an XY plane. In that diagram, I've plotted those 4 points correctly. Discussion. Coordinate geometry. In coordinate geometry, points or positions are represented by x and y values. X and y values are defined relative to x and y axes. All right? Planes that contain x and y axes are referred to as xy planes. And in the diagram there you can see a representation of an xy plane with x and y axes defined. All right? Order of x and y values. When you are talking about the x and y values of points, the x values always come first and the y values always come second. All right, that convention is to avoid getting them mixed up. Axes, origins, and quadrants. The x and y axes are perpendicular. That means, remember, that they form right angles. They intersect at a point that's referred to as the origin. And they also divide an xy plane into 4 quadrants. Quadrants are regions of the xy plane. Those quadrants are always numbered the same way, and you can see that numbering in the diagram in front of you. Next topic and next practice problems. What's the line equation of the line through the 2 points 1, 2, and negative 3, 4? Second question. What's the equation of the line perpendicular to the previous line and running through 1, 2? What's the equation of the line with a slope of 3 through the point 2, negative 5? As before, stop the video and try those now, please. All right, here's the solutions. The equation y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5/2. The equation y equals 2x. And finally, the equation y equals 3x minus 11. Discussion. Slopes of lines. Slopes refer to the steepness of a line, you might say. Okay. How do you measure slopes? Slopes of lines are measured by ratios of changes in vertical and horizontal positions. You may have heard this referred to as rise over run. Look at the diagram. What you can do to calculate the slope of a line is take any 2 points. It doesn't matter what 2 points you select on the line as long as they're not the same point. Then pick one point to be the first one, pick another point to be the second one, find the difference in the y values, divide that by the difference in the x values. That will be your slope. Okay? Line equations. Y equals mx plus b is the general form of line equations. It will always turn out that the number m is equal to the slope of the line that corresponds to that equation. All right? The value b will always be equal to the y value of the point where the corresponding line intersects the y-axis. All right? So in the diagram there, the value of b will be, looks like around 1. Okay? Equations of perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative inverses of each other. All right? So Look at the diagram. If one line has corresponds to the equation y equals mx plus b, then a perpendicular line will correspond to the equation y equals negative 1 over m, that whole value times x plus b. Okay? Another example, if a line has a slope of 2, then perpendicular lines will have a slope of negative 1/2. So the product of the slopes of perpendicular lines always equals negative 1. Okay? Next topic, next practice problems. What's the point exactly in between the points negative 2, 4 and 6, 10? And then what's the distance between those 2 points? All right, so again, pause the video and try those now, please. Answers: 2, 7 and 10. Discussion. Midpoint formula. Midpoint refers to a point in between 2 points. All right? Look in the diagram. I've defined 2 points with x and y values, x1, y1, and x2, y2. All right? For those 2 points with those x and y values, the midpoint will be as shown at the bottom of the slide. The quantity x1 plus x2, that whole thing divided by 2, that'll be the x value of the midpoint. And then y1 plus y2, that whole quantity divided by 2, that'll be the y value of the midpoint. Okay? One way you might memorize this is to remember that the x and y values of the midpoint are the averages of the x and y values of the original 2 points. Okay? Distance between 2 points. The distance between 2 points in coordinate geometry can be calculated using the Pythagorean theorem. All right? Let me show you how to do that. So in the diagram, I have 2 points with the x and y values x1, y1, and x2, y2. All right. Now, you can draw a line between those 2 points. Okay, that'll be the hypotenuse of a right triangle. And then you can draw vertical and horizontal sides to form this right triangle I'm talking about. Okay. Now, use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of that red line. That will be the distance. All right. In order to do that, you will need the length of the black sides of the triangle. So how do you find those lengths? Well, those lengths will be the difference, the absolute value of the difference in the x values and the absolute value of the difference in the y values. Okay? And at the bottom there you can see the square of that distance. Okay? Now let me close by mentioning function transformations. All right? This is another geometry topic you're going to need to know for the SAT. Now this is also an algebra topic. So I've dealt with function transformations in the algebra videos of this series. So see the algebra videos for a proper treatment of function transformations. All right? And you'll need to know things like how to add certain values to functions in order to create certain changes to the plot. All right?